Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Zoom room with our past alums, specifically our student-athlete alums. Today, it's my pleasure and my honor to have Kelsey Garrity here. Kelsey was a student-athlete at Somerville High School and attended Somerville High School from 2007 to 2011. Kelsey, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
So I'm going to start off with what is probably the most obvious question I can ask that I have asked a lot of the past interviewees. Tell us about some of your experiences as a student athlete at Somerville High School, and maybe how it prepared you for life after high school.
Yeah, definitely. Great question. You know, Somerville High was four of the greatest years of my life. Met a lot of amazing people, from students to coaches to teachers, advisors. Everyone there, it was just so great to me and my family. It was just great time. Definitely a great experience. Growing up, we watched the 2001 North Final Championship Lady Highlander team coached by Brian Harris. So going into high school, that's what you dreamed of being. You watched Joelle Martin, the Helen twins, and that's what I aspired to be. Was a basketball player for the Highlanders, and I just can't thank my teachers enough. Academics didn't come natural to me. I was definitely had to work a little bit harder, but my teachers there, always prepared me, always took the time to help me, and that really prepared me for the future of going into college. So I look back on it, and I talk about it with my best friend Marie Silva, who also played basketball and softball with me, and we always reminisce about the times we had there. And if you could go back in time, I definitely would.
I think a lot of us would, to be very honest with you, for sure. That's great. Tell me, I have to believe, because of all the sports you played, and again, just to recap, you were a golf, soccer, basketball, softball student athlete here at Somerville High School. I got to believe you had probably a whole slew of different memories, probably great memories. But is there one or two that really stand out to you that kind of like, oh my God, that was such an amazing moment?
Yeah, definitely one of the most obvious ones I would have to say was scoring my 1,000th point on my senior night for basketball. That's a memory I'll never forget. My whole family was there. The stands were packed with, friends that I had from growing up at the Brown School, throughout the Kennedy, and they all came out. People that I might not have talked to as much as I did when I was younger, but they made sure they were there for that moment, and that was just surreal. We had a kind of a struggle season my senior year. Definitely didn't prove who we were fully. It was the first year in 3 years we didn't win a Greater Boston League title, which was a little disappointing, but that just put us over the hump, and it was just amazing. We actually ran a fundraiser that night too in honor of my mother, called 1,000 for 1,000, where the community just came out and raised close to $3,000 for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And it was just a capstone of my high school career, definitely. My college coach was there while she was recruiting me still, so that was definitely the biggest moment of my life, I would have to say. And just to be on my senior night was just amazing. Just a lot of emotion for sure. And then also playing golf was just something out of thin air that I just, going into my freshman year, I didn't really ever fall sport. Growing up, it was always AAU basketball in the fall and spring, did some softball clinics, but I just really wanted to learn the game. My brother actually played on the golf team too, and I just really wanted to learn it, and you got free lessons. And it's something I still do to this day with my fiance and his friends. We all go golfing, and it was great. Coach Hart was amazing. He took on girls who never played on the golf team before, never played golf in their life, and he took it with a grain of salt and really taught us, and it was awesome.
That's pretty amazing. And did I hear you right? Are you a proud graduate of the Brown School?
I am a proud graduate of the Brown School. Yes.
Great. I also, although I have some years on you, I also graduated from Brown School, and I always remember telling people when they would say, "Do you have a cafeteria at the Brown School?" No. Do you have a gymnasium? No. Like it was such,
Barely had a library.
I know, it was such a bare bones experience, but I loved Brown School. I loved my experience there. It was pretty awesome.
Yep, it was awesome. I lived right on Josephine Ave, so just took a stroll up the street to the Brown, and it was great. I loved it there. I got
Nothing
great
wrong with
teachers.
that. Nothing wrong with that. Tell us what you're doing today professionally.
Yep. So right now I'm working as a client service coordinator at Alcu Technologies out of Andover, Mass. We're a consulting agency. I've been there just over 2 years. I had a few jobs before that, but that's where I am right now. It's a great company, um, full of young to older co-workers. And it's funny, a lot of these co-workers come straight out of college because we have internship offices at UNH, UMass Amherst, and James Madison, and they all moved to Somerville. And it's funny when I say, "Oh, I'm actually from Somerville," and they're like, "Oh, like you grew up there?" I'm like, "Yep." So it's a great company, fun.
Kelsey, I feel like, because I also grew up in Somerville, I feel like no matter where you go, there's always a Somerville connection. It's
Oh,
so wide. It really is. Yeah. Especially if you're wearing Somerville gear. People
hmm
always like, oh my God, I grew up there, or I married somebody from there,
hmm
or whatever it is. It's pretty amazing. It really is.
yeah.
So I'm also gonna ask you something that I probably already know, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Do you still stay connected to your high school teammates, to your friends? Like, is there still a strong connection to kind of your roots and all your friends back from high school?
Yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned before, I'm still very close with Marie Silva. Her parents and my parents actually grew up together too, which is funny. So that's a small world. I see people here and there. Like I mentioned before this, I'm up more north now, so I'm not too close to the city anymore. But you know, definitely with social media, it helps too. You get to see all your friends and old teammates, succeeding in life, which is, the greatest thing to see. I still talk to Indira Vora here and there, who I got to play with. Michelle Haggerty, who was on the '09 team. She actually played with one of my college teammates too, who transferred to UMass Dartmouth after her time at Framingham State. So I do get to talk to them here and there. Hopefully, we get to have our 10-year anniversary this November. Fingers crossed, but fingers crossed. But definitely stay close as much as I can.
That's great. I think that's kind of important. It really is. I feel like those high school reunions is such a great time to kind of get together again and just connect. And it's always funny to see where people are in their lives, right? Whether
Mhm.
they're married or have kids or what job they have. So it's actually very, very cool. Are you still playing sports? Are you still playing in leagues? Like how are you staying active?
Yeah, I'm trying to stay fit. There's definitely some tougher days and weeks. Um, But no, yeah, I definitely, the past 2 years, I played in a women's league at the Danvers Indoor Sports with a lot of my college teammates. And it's actually fun. There's some current college teams still in that league. So, they keep us on our toes. We want to stay fit for that. But also, I'm coaching now. I've been coaching for the past few years. I started off at St. Clement High School back in 2017, I think, before it closed, sadly. Then I went on and coached the JV team at Central Catholic in Lawrence and assisted with their varsity team the year they won the Division 1 North Championship. So that was awesome, great experience. And now I'm at Winchester High School as their assistant coach, varsity coach, and I also coach AAU with the Middlesex Magic program. So when I can, I jump into those practices and try to run with the girls and play with them. But that's definitely been how I've been keeping back with basketball, and it's great. A little different, but makes you stay involved with the sport.
Nice to stay connected. It really is, honestly, truly. And
Mhm.
I give you this advice: keep running with the girls as long as you can.
I'm
It's
trying.
an awesome feeling. It truly,
Yeah.
truly is. Tell us a little bit about your kind of your college experience, because my sense is you were you had such an amazing status here as a student athlete and as such a visible person in high school. How was the transition? How was the experience kind of being in college?
Yeah, definitely. The recruiting process was a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I started getting letters as like a sophomore in high school and from just like generic letters, but as a 15, 16-year-old, you think it's the greatest thing ever. You think you're going to go on a full ride to, you know, all these different schools, but they just send out like a list to people. So once it gets closer to your senior year, it becomes a little bit more realistic. And I was actually getting recruited by a lot of the schools in the same league, the Little East Conference. So Keene State, Eastern Connecticut, UMass Dartmouth, and it came down to Keene State and UMass Dartmouth. And one thing that just really put me over the edge to go to UMass Dartmouth was Coach Van Voris came to a lot of these games. UMass Dartmouth's probably like close to an hour from Somerville, and she would make the trip up to Somerville High at least once a week. She came to learn English. She just invested into me as a player, student athlete, and she wanted to see me succeed the most. So it was kind of a no-brainer towards midway through my senior season that I was gonna go to UMass Dartmouth. And the players there, the team just, recruiting trips, they just welcomed me with open arms. They took the time to sit with me after their game was finished, watch some of the boys' game, and talk to me, and just make me prepared for college. And then just going to UMass Dartmouth, it was kind of not a huge transition from Somerville. It's very diverse. The area down there, New Bedford, Fall River, it had a city feel to it, but it was also just a whole new experience. You're living on your own. You got to make your own schedule, time management. You got to make time to like even find out when the cafeteria is open and go there. But everyone at UMass Dartmouth was great. The English department, I majored in writing. They were awesome. They would come to some of our games. They would promote, women's sports, and but then they would take time if I needed it to leave early from a class. They would make sure that they had office hours for me to come back the next day and go over and review. So I can't thank the UMass Dartmouth community enough for how they welcomed me in there. And I played with some unreal players at UMass Dartmouth, and when Coach Van Boris recruited me in the season before, they only won 8 games, and I went in, and my class of 2015, we helped put that program on the map, and it started with the years before us. We had the first winning season in 18 years, my freshman year. We went to the LEC championship game my sophomore year. My teammate Colleen Moriarty was the first player at UMass Dartmouth to be LEC Player of the Year. And then after that, they went to the Elite Eight a couple years after I graduated. So I just loved it there. Some of my closest friends were from there, and I still have a really good relationship with Coach Van Voris, Coach Ducharme. So I can't speak highly enough of UMass Dartmouth.
It's nice to hear somebody who has such an amazing positive experience in college. It's not always the case, right? And what you said is true. I tell all students who are ready to go to college, one of the biggest transitions is the fact that you have to be ahead of your time management skills, right? Because unlike high school, you might have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, and you might have Tuesday and Thursday off. And if you're not doing homework and keeping up, you can easily fall way behind. It's super cool, right? So it's great. It's really great to hear. My last question, Kelsey, would be just what advice, because you've been through it and because you've lived it and you've seen it, what advice would you offer some of the high school student athletes, particularly our seniors who are about to graduate and kind of go on to that next level of their lives, whether it be college or a trade? Like what advice would you offer them as they're getting ready to embark on a different chapter?
Yeah, definitely. If you are going into college, definitely list out the pros and cons of each school you're looking at. If you're looking to go into an athletic program, list out the pros and cons, because there are a lot of differences between colleges, especially with tuition prices and cost of living and board. You definitely want to look into that, but just, find a place that feels like home. That's another reason why, like I mentioned before, I picked UMass Dartmouth. It had a great culture. It had diversity. I didn't have to feel like I wasn't going far away from my roots. But then just be mentally prepared for what's thrown at you. It's not going to be easy. You might not come out of college and have your dream job either. Like I mentioned, I was a writing major. I'm not doing much with writing, but I couldn't be happier where I am and what company I'm working for. So it's not an easy road, but it's definitely worth it if you put your mind to what you want to do.
That's excellent advice. Thank you so much. Once we hopefully get behind or on the other side of COVID and life's back to normal, whatever normal is, we would love to have you back. So we can honor you the right way. Once with the new school and the new gym, I feel like you were part of the foundation that kind of built that. So we'd love to have you back when the time is right. And I really, again, appreciate your time today. And I marked down so I wouldn't forget. Congrats on your engagement.
Oh, thank you.
That's good
Pray
stuff.
for December 2021 to be clear of COVID.
We will all pray that everything's back to normal. So thanks again for today. Stay safe and stay healthy, okay?
Yeah, thank you. And I'd love to be back. Can't wait to see that high school and go Highlanders.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Highlander History. Today, we have the pleasure and the honor of having Kervin Edouard with us. Kervin attended Somerville High School from 2005 to 2009 and was a star athlete here for football, track, and basketball. Kervin, thank you so much for taking some time today.
Thanks, Stanley. Thanks for having me.
Of course, buddy. It's our pleasure. So I'm going to start off with probably the most obvious question is tell me about your experience at Somerville High School, both as a student and really a student athlete, and how that kind of prepared you for the next chapter of your life.
Wow. As a student athlete at Somerville High, I have a lot of memories.
Yep.
I have some good ones, some challenging ones, but for the most part, being at Somerville High as a student athlete, I went through my trials and tribulations, but the staff was always there for me. My coaches, AD, teachers. I remember going from house to house in high school. At one point, I had nowhere to stay, so I had to live with my coaches in order to be able to go to school and play sports. So as a student athlete, I had to become a man at a very young age, living on my own, getting stuff done, making sure I get up, go to school, work out, play sports, and I was working as well so I could put food on the table and pay my bills. So, but throughout my years, being a student athlete at Somerville High, it prepared me for college and better things in life. So
It's an amazing story, buddy. It's an unbelievable story. I can't imagine day in, day out some of the challenges you had.
early morning, long nights, but it had to get done. It made me the man that I am today.
Good for you. Good for you. So I gotta believe because you played football, track, and basketball, you probably have a million really good memories as far as the games, like certain games that really stood out to you. But is there one or two games or moments in your sports career at Somerville High School that really stand out to you?
Yes, there's a couple. Um, One was my junior year in high school was playing Cambridge Ranger Latin, and I was going on a visit the following day to Stony Brook.
Yep.
And Coach Joe Curtatone told me, listen, you need to make some plays tonight so we can send that film over to Stony Brook in the morning. Started off the game, the first play of the game, we kicked the onside kick. We recovered it. The first play was a play action pass. I caught the ball, I was running. It was probably like 60, 70-yard play. And then I slowed up thinking I'm going to walk into the end zone. And here comes a defensive back from Cambridge, stripped, and I fumbled on the 1 yard line. And from that point on, it was all hell. I had 3 sacks, 18 tackles, 2 interceptions. For that one play. And that film, I was able to use it to bring it in to the on my recruiting visit the following day.
Good for you. That's amazing. Amazing story. So tell us, as you were getting recruited, how was that? I got to believe a lot of schools were probably dying to have you attend their school. How was that process for you, the college process?
Oh, the college process was awesome. But for the most part, I had schools coming from everywhere interested in me playing, coming to visit them. But I had a tough time in high school. So as soon as they seen my GPA, they seen my grades, they lost interest.
Hmm.
It was like a great athlete, but there's nothing we can do with you with those kind of grades. It was like you need to take your SATs, and depending on your SAT scores, maybe we can get you in. So I took my SATs and I came back. I scored a 1700, I think. So the knowledge was there, but the tough time cost my grades, cost it affected my grades in high school. But New Haven took a chance with me. They was like, listen, we'll bring you onto campus, give you a scholarship, but by the end of the first semester, you have to have a 3.0 or we're going to have to get rid of you.
Hmm.
I went on to college, did what I had to do, got my schoolwork done. I was focused, graduated with a 3.3 GPA.
That's amazing. And beyond, and Kerwin, beyond the football and kind of the academics, did you enjoy your experience there? Was the campus great for you? Did you meet a lot of friends? Was the whole overall experience positive for you?
If I can go back and do it again, I would. College was the best 4 years of my life.
Good for you.
You get to learn a lot of new things. You're on your own. They say you meet your real friends in college, and there's a lot of good friends, good teammates I played with that I still talk to on a daily.
That's awesome. So tell us what you're doing today professionally.
Today, I'm doing a little bit of everything, honestly. I'm a business consultant for Bank of America.
Awesome.
Right now, I import and export mangoes from Haiti to the
Wow.
United States.
Wow.
I'm into real estate. I have a moving company, so I move people from houses to houses. I do a little bit of Toro where I purchase cars and I rent them out to people that fly into Boston. So I do a little bit of everything. I have a catering business where we cook, serve food. I did take culinary class in high school with Mr. B. So I put that to work now.
Kervin, I gotta believe, buddy. Telling me your schedule right there. I gotta believe when you go to bed at night, you must put your head in the pillow and you must fall asleep immediately. That's
I
a
try,
full schedule.
but my brain just raced. I'm thinking of another master plan.
Good for you. Good for you. So you talked about some of your friends at the college level. Do you still keep in touch with coaches and teammates or friends from the high school?
Of course, I still talk to all my coaches, the
Awesome.
AD, a lot of my friends from high school I still communicate with, follow on social media. So I'm very well connected with my coaches and my friends from high school. That bond will always be there, going to camp, being around the guys, same guys for 3, 4 days.
I tell people all the time, and especially people who never played high school sports, it is a bond. It's
It
a, it's
is.
a, it's almost a forever bond, right? It's amazing, especially when you have memories of camp and week-long camp where you're spending overnights together. It's amazing, it really is. The memory is unbelievable.
Especially when you look at the itinerary for camp and it say you're practicing once a day till you get there.
Is
You're
it
waking
true?
up at 4 a.m., practicing at 5, eating breakfast, and then you're right back to practice after your food digests. But it just prepares you to be a better man in life.
I agree. I
I
couldn't agree
do it,
more.
I'll do it all over again.
Yeah, good for you. Tell us. It seems like, as I'm looking at you, it seems like you're still in amazing shape. I know COVID has stopped a lot of things, but what are you doing to stay in shape? Are you still playing sports at all? Are you playing in leagues?
Yeah, so I try to get to the gym here and there, and I do play flag football. I'm in a couple leagues. I do play men's league basketball in Somerville. I'm trying to stay in shape, trying to stay active.
Now, I know football gave you a back a lot as far as high school and college. But tell me, if you had to pick one sport, did you have a favorite? Was one more of a favorite than the other?
Football,
Definitely football, right?
football. And then running track made me a better football player. It got me faster on the field, playing basketball. There's a lot of good memories, but
Awesome.
football is my go-to.
So my last question to you, Kervin, is regarding all of our graduating senior student athletes. So every year we have a whole group of kids who are kind of moving on to the next chapter of their lives, just like you did. Is there any advice, kind of from your experiences and the things that you had to go through, is there any advice that you would offer our graduating seniors that are leaving every year to kind of either go to college or the next chapter of their lives?
Of course, so for our graduating seniors that's moving on forward, just focus on what you want to do. If you want to go to school, just make sure when you do get to school, you're doing the schoolwork that has to be done. And if you're on scholarship, just make sure you get there and you don't lose that scholarship. Because a lot of people take it for granted, go away for school, and they don't have no parents there, they don't have no one watching over them, and you fall in a hole. And that hole is hard to dig yourself out of. But for the most people that's going away for school, even if you're going into a trade, whatever you do, make sure you put 110% into it and get it done.
Great advice. Listen, I know we have COVID going on right now, and people aren't really connecting anymore, but I'd like to give you an open invitation. Once we're on the other side of COVID, with a new school coming on board, and we're doing over new facilities, Foss Park has turf now. I'd like to invite you back so we can honor you the
I
right way.
drove by Foss Park the other day and I was amazed.
It's amazing, right?
On Foss Park and it was straight dirt.
I believe it, buddy. I believe dirt and probably a bunch of rocks and everything else, right? Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. So we like to honor you the appropriate way. So please accept an invitation for you to come back whenever you want. Again, once we're on the other side of COVID, so we can honor you the right way. You've had so many accomplishments, and I can't thank you enough for spending a little time today and sharing your story with us.
All right, no problem. Thank you. And trust and believe, I will be there. Somerville, my family, I'm always there and I'll always be there.
Thanks again, Kervin. Be safe and be healthy.
All right, you too. Thank you.